Hello everyone and welcome back to the Confessions of a Teenage Witch podcast. My name is Ella and I am your host, and today we're going to be having a bit of a different episode because it is a bit of a different kind of day. Let's turn up the gain because you can't really hear what I'm saying very well. That's better. So I'm going to be keeping on my headphones this episode just to make it easier. It's going to be a lot more chill. I'm not going to be as happy as I am normally. So yeah, it's results day today, so I'm very relieved that I got into my first choice uni, my absolute dream university. I've been dreaming of this university for longer than a year. I chose it last March when I first visited the city for a biology conference thing, and I just absolutely fell in love with it, and I just couldn't go to any other university. I refused to go through clearing if that was something that I had to do, if anything went wrong and I would have to go through clearing. I would not do that. I would happily sit more A-levels so that I can go to that university. I'm that committed. So I'm so glad that I got the results that I needed for them to accept me, and they've also accepted me for the masters as well, so that means that I am accepted for my 3 years doing my undergraduate and also for the masters if I want to stay on and do a masters, which at the moment I definitely do want to do, and if not a masters in that department, in a similar department, because I don't know if when I've gone through it I might not like academia and I might want to do science communications and stuff where it's doing science media instead, because as you know, as you're watching, I'm making a podcast right now, so I do love media a lot, and I would love, as well as working in the lab and doing research and everything, I would love to work doing science media as well. I find it so cool. So yes, after all the worrying of longer than a year, the manifesting, the spells, the posters, the everything, just me absolutely dreaming every single day, every single class I'd turn up to, just hoping that it would get me to my dream, and luckily I am going. So I am extremely happy. But my results I was a bit disappointed with. I won't be sharing my results online because I don't really think that is a good idea, because people just compare themselves. But I do think that I didn't get the results that I deserved, which is true for many people. And I think the education system is ridiculous because it does not truly reflect how hard you've worked. And often people who get really high grades don't actually understand the subject really well. They just try and force themselves to remember the facts, even though they might not properly understand it. I've known people getting really good grades and they just memorise stuff because it didn't make any sense. But I instead made sure I learned everything and I understood it, and I even knew a little bit more in detail so I could remember it. But it still wasn't enough. Still wasn't enough to get near the top grades, and I absolutely worked every single day for hours and hours, and you just can't. I think sometimes A-levels, it is a losing game. You just cannot, and the most important thing is that you stay sane through the process. You work as hard as you possibly can without burning out, and you just, oh my god, and you get to where you want to go next, and also don't aspire to go to a university that's really hard to get into, and because it's not worth it. I think that you can aspire to go to really good universities that aren't maybe the ones that are really well known as the best ones, like Oxford and Cambridge, and you can have a better experience, because people often go to Oxford and Cambridge and it's not the best time, and it's very stressful, and some drop out and some don't make it out and they have to go and do something else. or worse. Anyway, so yes, I'm very, very happy, but chemistry, I knew I'd done badly, but like, it's unfair. It's unfair that I did badly with how much effort I put in. So I have found ways to take this as an opportunity to sort out the reason why I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve, because I put all of my faith in a online company that make like revision resources, because they have like this guarantee, this A star guarantee, and I paid for the course and I completed it. And even though I didn't complete it to their standard where you get your money back if you don't get the top grade, I put so many hours into it, it was ridiculous. Like at one point I was studying more than everyone in my whole class put together, because I was trying to complete the course, but I know why I didn't get the top grade, but still it hurts a lot and I need to move on from it, but I do want to try and help this company before I move on, because I think the amount that I went through doing that, I know so much about their course and how to fix it. So I have started a process of trying to send like really long reviews. I've sent one so far. I need to send one for the other course because I did biology and chemistry course with them. So I need to finish what I've said so far. I've said all the biology stuff. I need to do the chemistry stuff. But there is so many simple switches they could make that could have made so much difference to me and to other students who find their platform sometimes not giving them the results that they want. So, yes, anyway, I think that's enough to talk about A-levels. I don't know. Geography, oh, I really wanted an A star. I really, really did. And I was so close. And I don't know if it's worth getting it remarked, but like, I don't know, I just thought it would be really nice to get an A star in geography, because like from the first week my teacher was like, yeah, you're definitely going to get an A star if you keep working like this, like you're the kind of student, like, because I understand geography in like a way that is how you get the marks, but you can never predict what they're going to put in the exam, and if they put a question in the exam and you don't know that topic very well, that's 20 marks like already like on the line that you might not be able to do. It's like with chemistry, I had these questions, they were like worth 8 marks and I had no clue how to do them, so that's 8 marks already gone before I've even started. So yeah, it's very, very difficult. And the grade boundaries for chemistry, they've gone lower this year. So last year it was 250 out of 300 to get an A star. This year it's 239 out of 300 to get an A star. But biology is higher. You needed more marks to get an A star, which is really cruel. I really, really wanted to get like an A star in biology. I would have been happy with an A in biology, but yeah. Anyway, maybe I might appeal my biology grade, because biology is really important. That's what I'm studying next year. Like, I would have really liked to like get that, because at GCSE I got an 8 and I really wanted to get a 9, because 9 is a top grade and 8 is like almost the top grade, but I knew that course inside and out. Like, I swore I was going to get a 9, and a 9 is like an A star and I got an A star. So yeah, it's just nice to get the absolute top grade in your favourite subject, but it's not always possible, because like, you cannot control everything. You don't know what they're going to put on the paper. You don't know if you're going to have prepared yourself fully, and it's just a nightmare. I'm so glad I'm done with GCSEs and A-levels. They are an absolute headache. Like, degree, it makes so much more sense the way that you're assessed, and I don't hear many people complaining about the way that degrees on the whole are assessed and everything. Like, no one complains about that. They just complain about like the amount of work that they have, or that they're juggling this, that and the other. So yes, I'm so glad I haven't got to do anything with AQA anymore. Oh my god, AQA, we can just say goodbye, we can move on. Anyway, so haven't actually said yet, we're 10 minutes in, but yeah, so no, I am very happy. I'm so happy that I can finally sleep at night knowing that I am moving to the city of my dreams in like a couple of months. No, not a couple of months, in literally a month. I'm literally moving in like 1 month. They don't give you a lot of time, do they? But it's like, results, they do sting a bit. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't, but I swore I'd done better in some of those exams, so it's like, do I repeal, do I not? It's like 40 quid to pay to get it remarked, and they can put your mark down. I don't know. Anyway, let's go to... Got people downstairs. I can still hear it if we turn the gain down. You can barely hear me if I turn it down. You can still hear my dad talking. I don't know, let's turn it up. Let's talk. So, okay, today we are talking about, and I wish this episode was less unhinged, so it actually made sense and it was actually nice to be able to follow along with, but you know, life, it throws stuff at you, and I did not plan to make this episode on results day. I wanted to avoid filming this episode on results day because I knew it'd be really bad if I filmed it on results day, but I'm having to because I couldn't manage to find time the rest of this week to do it, and tomorrow when this episode is supposed to come out I have a driving lesson, so that takes up the whole day. So anyway, okay, so today talking about this book, The Hidden Life of Trees, and this book I bought it when I bought a load of my other non-fiction books. Was it? Yeah, it's when I bought loads of like biology books. So yeah, this book is great if you are interested in plant biology. It's also great if you are a witch, if you like working with nature spirits, if you just really, really love nature. But I would love if everybody knew the main points that this book teaches, because it is... Okay, I'm feeling a bit more together. I just had a chat with my mum, so I feel a bit more like I've got a brain. Okay, right. So, this book is brilliant. Is the gain up too high? Can you hear me a bit too much? It'll be fine. Right. This book, as I said, is great for people who love biology, but also people who love nature. If you love going for walks in nature, this book is perfect for you, or even if you don't, because this book teaches you so much about all of the things you didn't know about trees. And if you would like to discover all these things for yourself, please go and read the book first. But if you're okay with me telling you, I've only read the first couple of chapters of the book, so there's still so many amazing things. Yeah, I'm only on page 23. So if you want to learn the first couple of things for yourself, if you want to read all of this without me spoiling any of it, please stop watching this episode and watch it in the future. But I highly recommend this book. So, yes. So let's just talk about what this book talks about. So apparently there is a lot that the average person doesn't know about trees scientifically, and this is really, really fascinating because it means that us witches who work with trees as like I don't know how you call it, it's like so some people work with them like they're kind of like spirits or ancestors, or it's like one of the things they work with. I don't know how you kind of find like an umbrella term to talk about that. Would it be like an ally? Like plant allies? I suppose so. So yes, a lot of people, they go and work with trees, so they go and build relationships with trees, and they visit a certain tree or a certain like couple of trees on a regular basis. And you may have seen my video connecting to the birch tree for a day. So there is a lot that you can learn about trees as a witch, and there's also a lot of work you can do with trees, because a lot of people, especially people who are like druids, pagans, they believe that everything has a soul, and they are animists, so they believe that trees have a soul in like their own kind of way. Or not everybody might not exactly believe that a tree has a soul, but they believe that in like a similar kind of thing about trees having some kind of soul, if they don't believe it's exactly like a soul. Like they all have this kind of life energy. So that is really, really incredible, because it means that we can I literally don't know that much about working with trees, so it's been a while since I was researching that, because that's what I researched a lot when I was writing my EPQ, but that was like 2 years ago now. I am doing a whole episode on my EPQ, which is me basically talking about everything I learned about Druidry when I was learning about Druidry, because I did a load of research on Druidry and the Wheel of the Year, and I managed to get an A-level grade for it, which is incredible. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about all of that in a whole other episode, as I've said. But anyway, we're talking about trees solely today. So off the top of my head, I can't really give any advice on how to work with trees in detail, but I can say, if you would like the basics of it, basically what you do is you go and you find a tree that you feel connected to. So you may just feel like the energy of the tree you just really, really like, or there's like a specific type of tree that you want to reach out to because you know the energies of the trees. Like trees have different energies as a collective. So like birch trees have different properties, oak trees have different properties, rowan trees have different properties, so you can tap into the energies of the tree. And when you're working with trees, you can either work with the energies of one tree, that one tree that you're working with, or when you work with that one tree, you can work with all of the trees of that species when you're working with it. And it's so hard to explain. I'm not an education channel for witchcraft. I'm really trying not to be an education channel for witchcraft until I'm like in my crone phase. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying. So yes, trees, they're really, really great. You can go and get into like this meditative state, so then you can start to pick up on the tree's energies a bit more. So you might see a tree and you just feel so connected to it, but you can't really explain how. So then you can go up to the tree and you can hug it, or just sit near it, or like put your face like to the tree, and you can try and connect with it. So yeah, as I was saying, I did a whole episode on the tree of birch. So you can go and watch that if you haven't already. So yes, I just spend a whole day connecting to the tree of birch, finding this new birch tree friend and talking to it, and kind of like connecting with it. So yes, that is a video you can go and check out, and I am carrying on with that series. This is my board of different series that I have, so that I can remind myself what series I've started, because I have a ridiculous amount of different series that we are doing. So yeah, at the moment I am currently planning the next episode of the divination series. I won't spoil what kind of divination it is, but it is to do with one of the elements, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, it's basically a series where I try out a different form of divination in each episode, and often these forms of divination haven't got a lot of written record. They might be something from history, they might be something that I've even made up, because you can make divination out of literally anything. So yes, it's like a really fun series where I can just try out different stuff and see what connects to me, and just have like really peaceful YouTube videos that you guys can watch with me doing it. So yes, anyway, so trees. So yeah, that's the witchy side of trees, and over time you can build up a really, really good connection with trees, so in a spiritual way. But today we're talking about the scientific significance of trees, which is really, really exciting, because I haven't seen anybody cover this that much yet. I did see Alwyn Oak, one of the big witchcraft YouTubers, talk about this book, and she really, really recommended it, so that's really cool. But yes, anyway, I won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's talk about what this book talks about. So okay, so the first bit, the introduction, so it talks about how just like a kind of overview of this guy and what he's done in his life, like a tiny bit, like I'm a forester, blah blah blah, and it starts to give you some ideas about these incredible facts about trees that you didn't know. So then it goes into the first chapter, which is about friendships, and it talks about how trees can make friends with each other, which is the most beautiful thing I think I've ever heard. So basically, I knew this already, that trees have their roots can send messages to other trees. I heard this because I'm really, really interested. As you may know, the area of biology I'm interested in microbiology, mycology, and like plant science. So I knew that mushrooms, so like the fungi kingdom, they grow these roots. They're like mycorrhizal roots around in the soil, and these connect to roots of trees, and that means that trees can send chemical messages to each other and talk to each other. And this is so incredible, because just as like an average person walking around, you just think that trees are just like these big lumps of wood with some leaves hanging off of them. You don't really know that there's so much intelligence in trees, and this book really, really highlights that, and it's so incredible to learn about. So yes, I knew about that, but I didn't know to the extent that this was, that trees can detect the saliva of certain insects, and they can notify other trees around them that insect is there and it's eating their leaves. And they can even tell the specific saliva to know the species of insect that is feeding on their leaves, which is incredible. And what's even more incredible is that once they detect that, they can then produce a chemical that either deters the pest, so they can like properly formulate it so they know that it's going to deter that specific insect, or they can create a chemical that can attract the predators of that insect, so they can get the insect to get eaten and taken away, so then they don't have any more harm created to them, which is so incredible. And I think that a reason that we don't know about this as much is because trees do this on such a slow time scale. But what's so beautiful about nature, and something that I talk about in my videos sometimes, is how nature is just such a beautiful thing to connect to on a level of, it connects you to the slower pace of life. It reminds you that we all come from this place, we all come from nature, where everything is peaceful, everything is slow, there's no hurry, we just kind of relax, we take our time. And kind of like the only hurry and the crazy bits we get is like hunting and like prey and predators and stuff. Everything else, things grow at a slow pace, things age at a slow pace, we have erosion is at a slow rate, we have storms and weather and crazy stuff sometimes, but on the whole it's quite peaceful. So that's a really important thing to remember. Even with our modern lives, we have all of this technology, we have all this information at our fingertips, that we all came from this place where everything is peaceful, and we can return to that. We can try and cut technology out of our lives in ways where in times when we don't need it, when we are suffering from content addiction like I am. I have been realising lately that I have extremely severe content addiction, and it's concerning how many people suffer with this. So it's basically getting to the point where I feel like if I spend too many days off of YouTube where I'm not watching new videos, like I can't cope with the idea of that. Like if I had to give up YouTube for a week, I'd find that really challenging. Like I'd love to do that, but I just couldn't imagine not watching a video for a whole week, and that's really bad. Like 10 years ago, I didn't even watch YouTube. I was like way too young to really think about that sort of stuff. Oh wait, no, when I was 8 I did watch a lot of YouTube, but I didn't watch like the amount that I watch now. So it's getting to this stage where it's like mad. So yeah, it's really important for me personally, and I encourage you guys to look if you have content addiction or social media addiction. I know it's really, really hard to come to terms with that or to realise it, because you can think that everything you're doing, it's okay because everyone else is doing it and mine isn't that bad, I'm not on it that much. But then you actually realise like how if you didn't have it, you would feel like you're so disconnected from the world. So it's about learning how to connect with the world in different ways. So yeah, nature, really important to return to that slow pace of life, and just remember that we can return to that. We can meditate, we can do yoga, we can do gardening, we can do these mindful activities that return us to our true selves. Because I often find that when I'm like on social media or on technology and everything, it makes my brain really, really stressed. And even when I think I'm happy, it's actually making my brain stressed and working more than it needs to, so that I end up thinking about things in a really like unrealistic way, and I don't properly rationally deal with things. So like lots of challenges that I come across, I have to return to like philosophies that I've learned. I have to have conversations with my parents to help to like ground myself and like understand like the basic principles of life. Because when you are on YouTube as much as I am, where you're watching advice videos from loads of people because it comes up on your feed and you're like, what if this is a video that changes my life? It can be really hard to like be like, no, I have all the answers inside of me. I don't need someone else to tell me it. I can realize it on my own through journaling, through meditation, through walks in nature. I don't need that. So yeah. So nature is so beautiful, the way that like with the trees, with the way they send messages. It's very, very slow, but it's in their own way. So yes. Okay, so the next part about trees is that they I've gone on such a flow, it's really hard to like get back into like what I was talking about. Oh yeah, let's talk about beech trees. So it says a lot about beech trees in this book, about how they are so incredible, that I think it was beech trees they were talking about, that beech trees have this thing where they love friendship. They love all of the beech trees, even though they're all competing kind of in the same environment. Like in biology, you learn about how everything's competing. It really wants the nutrients, it wants the sunlight, it wants the water. But with beech trees, in experiments that they've done, they've seen that beech trees, they all grow at the same rate. They share nutrients and like water and everything to make sure that all of them are growing at the same rate. Like no matter their age and no matter like if they have a disease, they try and make sure that they're all growing at the same rate. I think this is all scientifically accurate. If I make a mistake in this video, I'm sorry. But yeah, so beech trees, they love to help each other. And even if like one of them is sick, they will like send glucose through their roots. They like connect their roots together so that they can send sugar to them. And it is just so beautiful that they're doing that. So yeah, it's just so incredible. Anyway, so yes, and one of the first things that he talks about in the book is that because of these relationships that trees can create with each other, they can keep, and the way he tells this story in the book is so much more incredible, but I could try and find the section and read it. I don't know where he said it. Let me take the bookmark out so I can flick through this book and I can tell you all the fun facts. It was just so cool when he said this bit in such a cool way. Oh yeah, I should have looked at my notes. I've got like this biology notebook that I created where it's like I write all my like further biology notes when I do like research into stuff I'm interested in, and I haven't got it. Oh yes, where are we? Ah, here. Okay, I'm going to read out this excerpt from the book because I think that it will probably be available on Amazon anyway, as like a look inside. Let's make you buy this book. So yeah, I'm very proud that I bought this secondhand. Just saying, if you can, buy secondhand. So yeah, okay, so this is from the first chapter, Friendships. So it says, years ago, I stumbled across a patch of strange-looking mossy stones in one of the old preserves of beech trees that grows in the forest I manage. Casting my mind back, I realised I had passed them many times before without paying them any heed. But that day, I stopped and bent down to take a good look. The stones were on an... It's really hard reading when I can hear it in my ears. It's alright when I'm talking, but let me take it off so I can actually read this properly. It drives you a bit insane after a while. I feel like I'm Taylor Swift. Right. But that day I stopped and bent down to take a good look. The stones were an unusual shape. They were gently curved with hollowed out areas. Carefully, I lifted the moss on one of the stones. What I found underneath was tree bark. So these were not stones after all, but old wood. I was surprised at how hard the stone was, because it usually only takes a few years for beech wood lying on damp ground to decompose. But what surprised me most was that I couldn't lift the wood. It was obviously attached to the ground in some way. I took out my pocket knife and carefully scraped away some of the bark until I got down to a greenish layer. Green? The colour is only found in chlorophyll, which makes new leaves green. Reserves of chlorophyll are also stored in the trunks of living trees. That could only mean one thing. This piece of wood was still alive. I suddenly noticed that the remaining stones formed a distinct pattern. They were arranged in a circle with a diameter of about 5 feet. What I had stumbled upon were the gnarled remains of an enormous ancient tree stump. All that was left were vestiges of the outermost edge. The interior had completely rotted into humus long ago, a clear indication that the tree must have felled at least 400 or 500 years earlier. But how could the remains have clung on to life for so long? Living cells must have food in the form of sugar, but they must breathe and they must grow at least a little. But without leaves, and therefore without photosynthesis, that's impossible. No being on our planet can maintain a centuries-long fast, not even the remains of a tree, and certainly not a stump that has had to survive on its own. It was clear that something else was happening with this stump. It must be getting assistance from neighbouring trees, specifically from their roots. Scientists investigating similar situations have discovered that assistance may be delivered remotely by fungal networks around the root tips, which facilitate nutrient exchange between trees. Or the roots themselves may be interconnected. In the case of the stump I had stumbled upon, I couldn't find out what was going on because I didn't want to injure the old stump by digging around it. But one thing was clear, the surrounding beeches were pumping sugar to the stump to keep it alive. Incredible! I absolutely love biology. That is so beautiful. I find it so poetic learning about trees in this way. Let's put the headphones back on. Because this is really cozy, being able to listen to my voice as I talk. And it also makes me feel like what I'm saying is more important when I can hear it in my ears, so I feel more confident with what I'm saying. Sometimes I record podcast episodes, I'm like, I sound like a nutter. Anyway, so let's carry on with the book. So yes, they talk about how trees are social beings, and they are interested in being social and supporting each other because it means that they can create this climate. Because when you have a forest, the trees often live for a really, really long time. But you don't get like random trees in the middle of nowhere that are not near other trees that are like really, really old unless they're like being preserved. Because trees tend to live better in groups because when they can create this climate of like humidity and like good water retention and good temperature, then it means that they can create like a really nice canopy and a really nice climate, that it means that when there's like storms and stuff, it's harder for the storms to change this because they've got this kind of like homeostasis, which means like homeostasis in the body is when your body reacts to these changes in like temperature, or like when you go somewhere really cold, your body can still deal with it because it's got these systems in place where it can counteract that change, like with equilibrium, so that you can stay alive. So like if you eat something with really, really high salt, then you've got like these different hormones that can be sent off so that you can survive. So yes, it's really, really incredible to hear that they create this kind of like nice thing and they will live together, and it's like a little community and they can like talk to each other in their own little way. So yeah, that is incredible. So yeah, let's carry on. So yes, as we said, trees can send nutrients to each other, they can talk to each other, they are social beings, and so if there's a sick tree, then they can pump glucose and nutrients to them to try and help the tree recover. And they don't want to let these other trees nearby them die, because then that would affect the local climate. So it's really, really nice. It's like you don't want your co-worker going because they help be part of the team. So yes, it says some trees are so often so tightly connected at the roots that sometimes they even die together. That's so beautiful. Like, they love each other so much, these trees. So yeah, it also says that you can tell if trees are friends, like, from their crowns. So like their leaves at the top, you can see ones that grow more towards one or like away from another. So like if it's uneven on one side, then they might be friends with one tree more than the other. I don't know if I've interpreted that in the right way, but I think that is how you interpret it. It's really hard to tell with some science text. Like, this is really easy to read, but it also isn't. I'm getting to this part where it's talking about flowering seasons, and it's going into different species of tree, and I'm like, this is not my thing. I'm starting to get into a place where it's like, this doesn't sound right, but it's also like, yeah, no, this is probably right. I should probably be knowing this as well. This is probably a good thing to learn. So I'm getting used to it, because you don't learn about trees in biology, really. It's all about like little plants, because they're ones that they can bring in the lab. Like, you learn about in AQA, which is what I did, AQA A-level biology, we learned about like what were they called? Dicotyledonous. I can't even pronounce it anymore, but it's like plants where they start off with like 2 leaves when they germinate. And we also did, what are those ones called? Like streamophile plants, but they used a different word for it. Xerophytes, they live in like really extreme hot conditions. So like cacti and marram grass and blah 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 blah, because they have a different structure of leaf. So they wanted us to study that. So yeah, that's interesting. Language of trees. So yeah, there's a lot to know about compounds. So I'm glad that I did chemistry A level, even though it was an absolute nightmare. What else did we have? Yeah, so a lot of this is just really early in research, so there's still so much more to learn that we don't know, and that's why I bloody love studying this, because it's so incredible. That's why I want to do research at this point. That's what I really, really want to do, but we shall see if I change my mind. But I really love research, because it's like we don't know this stuff. I could be the one to help find it out. Okay, social security. Glowing too close together. So yeah, sometimes it says when trees grow close together, it's a good thing, but it depends whether they are different species of trees, because if they're different species of trees, then sometimes they can compete, and then it's not a good idea. But if they are the same species, it says that you can grow them close together. They're not gonna take over, but I don't know how true that is, like how to recommend that. I don't know what the but this and but that. Like, I don't know when you like know a fact, but it's like you don't know the extent to that fact. So it could sound like, wow, that includes everything. Like, everybody loves horses. You could say that's a fact, but there's going to be exceptions of people who don't love horses. That's a really bad example, but I hope you understand what I mean. I find it so hard making these. My videos are so long just because you guys can't respond to me as I talk. So I say, do you know this? Or do you know that? But I can't get an answer. So I have to just say, yes, this stuff. And then, I say this stuff, and then I say loads more to explain what I said, just in case someone misunderstood or they don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, anyway, love. It says, oh yeah, this is this section about love, and it doesn't make any sense because it's about stuff, and I was reading it in a hot library. Okay, so I feel like that's everything I have to say about the book so far. But I have more to say about mushrooms. Let's talk about mushrooms for a bit. So mushrooms are incredible, and I actually feel weird when I eat mushrooms, because I know that they are a completely different kingdom, and I'm used to eating animals or eating plants. So when I eat mushrooms, I'm like biologically it's just weird to think about, because I can't eat them like thinking and like trick myself into thinking they're a vegetable, because they've got I know they've got like a completely different like biological makeup, like with their cell walls. Their cell walls are made of like chitin, when plant cell walls are made of cellulose. So it's like biologically they're like completely different. But then if you think of what chitin is made of, with like the carbons and the horrible chemistry stuff, I guess it's not that far off of what that is. Anyway, that's weird science I don't want to get into. But yeah, I just find it odd when I eat mushrooms, thinking that it's not a plant and it's not an animal, it's its own thing. And I watched a lot of Fantastic Fungi, which is this really good documentary. They just took it off of Netflix, which is really, really sad, but it teaches you about how incredible mushrooms are. And I do want to buy that mushroom book to add to my collection, because I have lots of really nice, like, sciencey, naturey books, but I don't have one about mushrooms. So I was going to buy it, but I haven't yet. But mushrooms, the way that... I can't actually remember the details of the documentary, but the way that they are more similar to us as animals than to plants, in the way that they like live and the way they respond to stuff, is really, really incredible. And something else I find fascinating about mushrooms, unlike fungus and blah blah blah, is insects often can farm fungi to eat it. Like, I have been reading this book for ages. I often dip in and out of these non-fiction books because I can't read them cover to cover, because it just doesn't flow for me. I like to read a couple of chapters of it and like really try and remember that information and like enjoy it, and then move on to something else and then switch around. I can't just read one and read all of it. I don't know. So there's this one I've been reading called Empire of Ants. I started reading it so long ago. It's literally the book I reference on my personal statement for university. But it talks about... Is it that one? Yeah, it does. It talks about how ants, they can farm like mushrooms in their little ant tunnels to eat it. Like, they have farmers. Some ants take on that as like their job title, because ants have different jobs. Like, there's ones that have to be like nurses for the new ants that are born. You have ones that have to be hunters. Like, they're all given these different roles. And that's just incredible. Like, they're literally ants. Like, what the hell? So yeah, I find entomology as well, study of insects, incredible, so fascinating, and so underrated. Because people often want to study like the big animals, but I'm more interested in like the little animals. Actually no, because I love microbiology. I love like the small things, because they're so overlooked. Like, I barely know any entomologists or like famous entomologists. Like, it's always about animals and like zoology and all of that. So it's just so insanely amazing, like learning about ants. I really want to carry on that book, because that book it's one of those non-fiction books where you're reading it and everything is just a wow. Like, you get fact after fact after fact, and you're learning this story of how this whole new species lives. And it's like, I always knew ants were like incredible, because the odd fact you hear about them is just like, wow, like there's a lot more than people know about ants, but like there's so much. It's called myrmecology, study of ants. Very, very interesting. So yeah, the fact that they literally have like farms underground where they're like making their own food, incredible. But yeah, we will do a whole episode on ants when I finish that book. I also have a book about bees. I want to do a whole episode on bees. I also have a book on... I have like a couple of microbiology books, so I'll do like an episode on each book. But what I'm loving with this podcast at the moment is just making it into like a book club, where I kind of like talk about stuff I've been learning in books, but you don't necessarily have to go away and read the books, but you can hear the stuff about the books and also get book recommendations. But I just kind of share information. So like with some content I see online about books, people market it about being about the book, but I instead want it to be more about the information. But if you find it interesting, then go and read the book. I think that's a nicer way to kind of do it, because also it reaches a wider audience, because I doubt there's many people seeking out a review of that book, compared to the amount of people who see my thumbnail saying trees can talk, or whatever I put it as. The trees are talking. That's what I put on the thumbnail of this video. I think that's really, really incredible. Anyway, so yes, that is that section of the podcast. I don't think I have much more biology to waffle about today. But yeah, would love to do loads more episodes on biology and witchcraft and spirituality, of course. But now we're moving to the second half of the podcast, which I haven't planned for this week, so we're going to see how it goes. Okay, so first favourite of the week. So if you haven't watched my podcast before, I have the first section where I ramble about something that I've chosen, which was trees this week. And in the second half of the podcast, I do my 3 favourites. I do a confession. Oh, and I forgot the kind reminders section. So last week I started this section called Kind Reminders, where I remind you guys to look after your mental health, your spiritual health, and your physical health. So if you haven't already, make sure that you have a glass of water or a drink that you like to drink, and make sure you drink it because you need to keep your fluids up. You need to look after yourself because your body cannot run without you drinking water. So make sure you do that. Sorry to everybody having to listen to me drink, because I know some people don't like stuff like that, but oh well. I bought this cup yesterday. Okay, this is going to be my first favourite. I bought this cup from TK Maxx, and oh my god, how clean girl aesthetic is that? Incredible. It's so perfect. I bought it for university in the hopes that I get into university today. Luckily I did, as you know. But I thought I really need one of these cups where it's like one of those ones you can put water in, you can put coffee in it, and it's got a straw, and you walk around like this. And you're like, hey guys, and it's like, this is your like fancy girl cup. So yeah, very clean girl aesthetic. It's a really nice white, I don't know if it's showing up on camera well, but it's kind of like, if you ever played Minecraft, it's like it's like the white terracotta colour. That is that exact kind of shade. It looks more beige in real life than on camera, but it is so cute. I was going to put stickers on it, but it's just so perfect, so I think it's going to be a while until I put stickers on it. And also, I've never put water bottle stickers on. I don't know how they don't peel off, even if they're like water resistant. I don't know. I'm absolutely destroying my wrists every time I use this really, really heavy mic stand to record these episodes. I need to just take it off of the stand and just hold it at this point. But I will not. Yeah, this mic stand, oh my god, it's ridiculous. I'm not buying a boom as well. I think my family will think I'm nuts if I buy a boom. A boom is one of those big, craney arms that you stick a mic on a podcast episode, and you got like, hey guys, welcome back to it's gonna fall on me. Welcome back to So yeah, that's not a good idea. Also, this thing, it keeps falling. I have to keep tightening it up because or else it falls. Anyways, let's carry on with the episode. So yeah, remember to drink your water. Also, go out for your cute little nature walk if you haven't already this week, or do it again if you've done it already. Make sure you're connecting with the earth this week, and make sure you're being kind to yourself. Don't be too harsh on yourself. If you've been having loads of stuff to do lately but you haven't been doing it all, you are doing your best. Don't worry about it. You are doing amazing. And also, if you are manifesting stuff, it will come at the right time, or if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be. So I don't know if any of that advice was relevant to you, but if it was, I really hope that it meant something. I wish it could be more specific and I could help you personally. But if you need any support, I will be in the comments helping you guys with the odd thing. So yes, first favourite, and also that is the kind reminders done. Also, yes, make sure you get light exercise on your little nature walk to make sure you are staying healthy, because exercise is not about weight loss. Exercise is about being healthy and making sure that we are protecting our heart health. So yes. Anyway, let's carry on with the favourites. So yeah, that's my first favourite. My second favourite is a book, and this book I got from the library the other day, and it's very cheesy YA book. I don't know when I'm going to stop reading YA. I feel like now I'm 18, maybe I should stop reading YA. I never really properly got into it, because I don't like reading books about sad points in history, about loads of people dying. I don't like reading books about Like there's a long list, like someone with like terminal illness, like all of these things. I'm like, I just don't, it's really tough. So when I'm looking at the YA books in the library, there's so many that cover these different topics, and I'm like, I just want like a cute book. So then I end up picking ones that are like really cheesy. Anyway, let me go and grab the book. I'm not going to edit this podcast, so you're just going to have to listen to me shuffle over there. I'm being a bit reckless because I haven't put a bookmark in it, which is a little bit bad. We'll use the tree bookmark. But yes, so let me put my headphones back on and grab the mic. So yes, the book this week. Oh, have I got a movie to talk about? Oh yes, I do have a movie to talk about. I don't have any music to talk about because no one was released any. All I can say is that I'm going to the Griff tour. I'm actually gonna die. I cannot believe it. So yeah, I was obsessing about Griff the other week, and I am going to see her in a couple of months. I'm so excited. I've wanted to see her for so long. Yeah, I have seen her once before, but it was a support, so I haven't seen her like properly. It wasn't like her whole show. She opened for Dua, so I'm so excited. Anyway, this is the book. This is my favourite this week. My favourite book. I can't believe I'm actually reading books. I have been in a reading slump for the last 2-3 years. I used to be such a reader. I read so much. I was like the kid of the class who read and everybody else didn't read as much as I did. So yes, it's The Summer Switch Off by Beth Weekles. She's the one who wrote The Kissing Booth, very cringy Netflix film, but this book is actually quite good so far. It's from the perspective of 3 different girls, and they're all going on holiday to Mallorca, and it's like a solo traveller's trip, so they all go separately but they make friends when they're there, and they're all at different points of their life. So one is waiting for their A-level results, one has just finished first year of uni, and one has finished second year of uni, and they're all dealing with their own things, and they go to like this holiday place, like all-inclusive holiday place, where all of these like young women are going as solo travellers. And they stay there for a week, and they have no phones, no internet, but they still have lots of stuff to deal with while they're there. One has got a breakup, one doesn't want to do a law degree next year, and the other one, I can't remember, that was last night when I was fretting about my A-levels, so I can't remember about her story. I can't remember what her stuff is. I don't know, anyway, but it's really, really good so far. When I was volunteering in the library the other day, I couldn't carry on reading this because it was getting a bit crazy. I couldn't concentrate, so I saw this one and I picked it up. I started reading it and then I decided to get it out. So yeah, I really, really like it. It's quite a long book for like a romancy kind of thing, but yeah, it's good. I like it. So yes, but I did try and read The Kissing Booth once, but it is, oh my god, it's written in such like a cringy, girly way because she wrote it when she was doing her A-levels. So it's kind of written just really cringy, so you can't really read it. I found it really unreadable, so I donated it. Anyway, so yeah, highly recommend that book if you are also somebody who's like my age. If you're not my age, it is probably a really bad book, so yeah. Or if you're like young and you like reading like romance chick flicky stuff about holidays, then read it. But if not, then don't read it. Don't waste your time. I'm only reading it because it's easy to read and it's about summer. So yeah, anyway. Next third favourite films. Okay. So this week I binged Maze Runner with my brother and it was so incredible. I didn't expect to be so obsessed with it. I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time because it's like an action film thing, And there's so much more to it than the films, which is really exciting. So I might read the books, I don't know, but I really, really loved it. So it's basically about this maze. So there's all these kids trapped in the middle of a maze and they can't make it out the maze, and they've all been there for 3 years, and it's dystopian, and all they can remember is their names. They don't know why they're in the maze, they don't know what their life was like before, so they have to live in the middle of the maze in like tents and all sorts, and the maze is really, really dangerous. So there's these people called runners, so they're maze runners, so they go and run through the maze in the daytime to go and try and find a way out of the maze, but they have to try and make it back before the gates close. So the maze gates, because they're in the middle and then there's like this gate into the maze, if they want to go out of the into the proper maze, in the night time they'd get trapped, they wouldn't be able to go, so they have to make it back, or they get trapped in the maze, and there's these things called grievers, which are these big scary things, and they attack you and you probably die. So they have to try and make sure they don't get trapped in the maze at night, so they have to make sure they know the way around the maze so they don't get trapped in it before they can come back. And yes, so basically the film is about this guy called Thomas. He comes up in the cage, so every time there's a new person they come up in the cage and they go around. They don't go around, they go and meet everyone, and then they remember their name after a couple of days. And he is so adamant about going in the maze, and he's just so like determined to solve it and to work out like why they're in this maze, and like what has happened, like why the hell were they trapped in a maze. It's so weird, and they're also all kids, there's no adults, it's very odd. So yes, that's what that is about. And then the other two ones are about other similar missions that the characters go on, but it is very intense. And when I finished the final film last night, I did shed a couple of tears because it was very emotional, because it's a bit like Harry Potter in the way that there's a lot of characters that don't make it out alive, so it's very like, oh my god. I was very upset because at the end they're like reminiscing about all of the characters that didn't make it. So yeah, but I'm not going to spoil it obviously if you haven't seen it, but if you have, then it's really great, isn't it? But yeah, anyway, that's my 3 favourites. Now we move on to the next section, which is the confession section. So I don't often have a confession section. Oh my god, that sounds so much better and I don't have to hold it. But then I have to go sideways so you can't see me. I look like my thumbnail from my Cosmic Witch video. Anyway, so this week we actually have a confession. So I do have this section of my podcast. Please don't fall off. I got my black notebook is like falling off. It's like hanging on by a thread. So yes, I do have this section of my podcast called Confessions, where you can submit a confession. So it can basically be anything. It can be like, oh my god, Ella, I accidentally spent like 60 quid on this statue of a deity and it wasn't worth it. Or it can be like, oh my god, I just went on holiday, or anything. It can be anything. You can tell me anything and just say that it's a confession. So yeah, so this one comes from my Patreon, from Morton, who is my Patreon. Why do people say my Patreon? It's my patron. I don't have any other patrons, so if you love my content, then please join us on Patreon, because I only have one patron, which is fine, because I know you guys will join in time. I don't expect anything of you, of course. You don't have to go to Patreon, but it'd be great if you did. So yeah, anyway, Morton said, where is it? Okay. So he said, my confession is that if my mother knew about the trips I take into the wilderness just to clear my head and recharge, she would have been shocked. And this is because... Why? It's taken. It's gone in a... I wish I had my phone right now. I could easily go for it, but it's downstairs. It is... My dad's on the phone, I apologise. Where is it? Oh yes, it's because I think she would be surprised by both the length and the challenging or even dangerous terrain that I sometimes pass on these trips. So, wonderful confession. I think that is really, really lovely that you go out for your little nature walks. But that must be so cool that it's kind of challenging. It must be more exciting. I find it feels unsafe sometimes to walk into the middle of nowhere because I feel like someone's going to come behind a tree and kidnap me. But the chances of that is very low, because people who want to kidnap you, they're not really going to look around in the woods for someone to kidnap. They're more likely to go like on the street in the middle of the night. And I don't walk around on the street in the middle of the night, so I have very low chances of getting kidnapped, but it's still a concern. So I'm very careful. I'm also so cautious when I'm filming, because I'm so concerned that someone's going to nick my phone. I keep having nightmares about someone nicking my phone when I'm filming and nicking my tripod. It's so bad. Anyway, yes, that is the end of the podcast episode. It was very all over the place. If you made it to the end of the podcast, please let me know in the comments by leaving like some lovely tree emojis. That'd be really, really lovely, and then the comments can become a forest. That would be really, really fun. So yes, I hope it's been fun, even though we've got this like ugly background today. If you've listened on Spotify, please make sure that you answer the little quiz that I leave at the bottom that's got like a little poll. Or if you haven't listened on Spotify, then go over to Spotify and you can answer the little quiz. I always have a quiz on each episode so that you guys can engage more, so that my podcast might reach more people, because that would be nice. Anyway, that is everything. I hope you're all doing really, really well. I hope you're having a lovely summer. I think it was yesterday my brother said, oh my god, it's like 4 months till Christmas. He didn't say it like that. He said it in a more sinister way, and he didn't say, oh my god. He said like something crazy, like, oh, I can't remember, but he just said it like 4 months till Christmas or something. Is it 4 months till Christmas? Yeah, he said it's 4 months till Christmas. I don't want Christmas. I don't really like Christmas because I just value the year so much now that big landmarks like Christmas or summer, it's not as like wow anymore, because I'm learning to cherish every single day. Like, it doesn't have to be Christmas for it to be amazing. And kind of all the things that I want to do on Christmas to make it really, really witchy and fun, I haven't started doing yet. But once I do that, then Christmas is going to be amazing. But I think also because I have the Wheel of the Year, it's like I'm always celebrating a Sabbath. So it's nice. I don't have to put all the pressure onto Christmas. So I'm happy that I'm not bothered about Christmas anymore as much. Like, it's kind of like, it's nice. It's like, it's part of the Wheel of the Year. Like, there's not so much pressure on it. So like, if something goes wrong on Christmas, it's like everything is like, all the pressure is on that one day. So yeah. And also maybe I don't like Christmas because it's like, oh god, another year's gone by, and I feel like I finally have control of my life now. I'm 18. Can actually go and do what I want now. I don't have to be stuck in the education system. Anyway, that is the end of the pod. Please let me know what you've been up to this week in the comments. I'd love to hear. Have you had a fun week? If you haven't, I hope next week is better. You have the weekend. Weekend is tomorrow for you guys watching. It's in 2 days for me, but it doesn't matter because every day's a weekend because I am off school because I finished my A-levels. Anyway, this is getting really unhinged now. Really seriously. I don't have anything else to say, so I need to go. Okay, so I'll see you guys all next week here. Oh yeah, before I see you next week, there will be the new divination video. Hopefully I'm going to make sure that I do that. And then I'll see you next Friday for the next episode. The next episode is about Power of Now. I'm going to make sure I do that. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye!